What up? You know the routine. A black man or woman gets killed by a police officer and it's immediately justified in the press because guess what? The press will post the police report as if it's a fact, and we know police never lie, right? As a reaction to this grave injustice, African people and other like-minded people normally take to the streets to peacefully protest, or sometimes they take to the streets in a violent uprising, or as the media reports it, a riot. And then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we have these critics come out of the woodworks to demonize these African people for staging this uprising in the face of oppression, in the face of persecution and systematic racism and white supremacy. It happens like clockwork. So, to those critics, I give you 3 reasons why you're a hypocrite for demonizing African people for staging violent uprisings. Number 3, you don't have a problem with violence. Matter of fact, you don't even have a problem with people destroying their communities and property like you say they do. Because when white people destroy their property and community in celebration of their sports team winning or losing a championship, you're silent, you're mute, you don't say a thing. Why is that? Number 2, you don't really care about our community. You don't really care about us. You don't really care about our plight in life. You only want to critique us because you want us to stay in our place in society. If you really cared about our community and us burning things down, then you do something before these uprisings happen. Have you ever been to our communities? If you have, you'd understand that most of these communities in the inner city are already run down and abhorrent and desolate. Where were you before these uprisings happened? And the number 1 reason why you're a hypocrite in your critique of this situation is because, check it, every July 4th, you celebrate violent uprisings against authority. You celebrate violent rebellions against authority. But when black people, African people, Moorish people exert this same thing and react the same way, you suddenly have a problem. Why is that? See, when the colonists were being subjugated in perpetuity by the British monarch, they did what they felt they had to do to gain freedom and to gain rights and respect. They staged a violent uprising. And if we're actually being honest, there are a lot of similarities between what the colonists fought for and what African people have been fighting for over 400 years. We're talking a police state and police violence. We're talking economic exploitation. And we're talking contradictions and inconsistency in the way the justice system unfolds its justice to certain groups of people. So if you have a problem with these violent uprisings, maybe you should get involved with these communities before this actually happens. Or maybe you should look at the roots of the problem. The crooked cops who feel like they can get away with killing black and brown people all the time without any retribution. Or the fact that we live in a system of white supremacy and systematic racism and economic exploitation that has not been resolved since the founding of this country. But that's just my opinion. What do you think? Do I have a point or am I off base? Leave a comment below and let's talk about it. And don't forget, follow me on all my social media accounts. This is Mr. Cram.